Hello and welcome back to Challenges and Icons, our interviews where we go out and meet interesting people who makes a difference around us. And I'm here today in Copenhagen, actually outside Copenhagen in Tostrup, but in Denmark. And I'm here to speak with Michael Stausholm, who is the founder and CEO of the startup company called Sprout. Michael is well known for establishing Sprout in 2013, and the company is built around the world's first only plantable pencil. And Sprout has offices in Boston and Copenhagen, and sell their pencils about 450,000 a month, I believe, and over 60 different countries, and too many different kind of brands we all know very well, from IKEA to Disney, Bacardi, and the World Wildlife Foundation, and Coca-Cola, and so on. Michael is known here in Denmark, I think mainly, for his work within sustainability as an expert and consultant. For the past 16 years, he has an aim to become, with his company, Sprout, a world leader in innovation, sustainability, and with the coloring pencils and with a second life. It is a great pleasure for me to welcome Michael here to our interview, which we call Challenges and Icons. Welcome, Michael.
Thank you.
That was a long introduction and very difficult for me to read up, but the fact is that it's a fantastic possibility for us to meet you. You are, from our perspective, a challenger in a market, and it's very wonderful to be able to be here and take your time. And the idea, of course, is that you and I, we're going through some of the questions that have popped up in our minds, and which I know you're eager to answer all the questions. But let me start with the most logical and first one, which is so how did it all begin? What sparked the idea? And maybe you can tell us a little bit about that.
Originally, the idea of the Sprout pencil came from MIT in Boston. A couple of young students came up with the idea. They needed funding. They went to Kickstarter.com, where we found it, thought it was a great idea. I was working with sustainability at that time, and whenever I was doing speeches on the subject, sustainability was always difficult to define. Everyone was talking about it, but you couldn't really put words to it. To me, the Sprout pencil was illustrating what sustainability is all about. You use something for its original purpose. Once you're done, you plant it and you literally give it new life instead of just throwing it out. So that's how it all started. We made an agreement with the young students to distribute and sell in Europe, and very quickly we were selling a ton of Sprout pencils in Europe. And in 2014, a year later, I bought the IP and the patent, the global rights from the young students, and they are long gone to other projects.
But you say you plant the pencil, but
Yes.
maybe you should explain how do you actually plant the pencil?
Yes, it's very
And
simple.
why do you plant the pencil?
It's very simple. You write with a pencil the way you normally would. Usually, at a certain time, you only have the stop left. So instead of throwing that stop out, you simply plant the green capsule, which contains the seeds. First time you water it, the capsule will dissolve, and the seeds will start to germinate within 1, 2, 3 weeks, depending on the seed type, right? Why plant it? Well, it's all about doing away with the use and throw away culture, right? Instead of just throwing things away, give them literally new life by planting it, and instead of just a useless stop, suddenly you have vegetables, you have herbs, or you have flowers instead, right?
Yeah.
So for me, it's the beauty of sustainability.
Yeah, and it's a wonderful reference to nature. That there is this life with a seed inside your pencil that can grow, and maybe that brings me to the name of the company. How did you come up with that?
Sprout is just it's a word that signifies growth or something growing, and it has several meanings. Sprouting your seeds, making them grow, or sprouting a company, making it grow. Also, it's a simple name that you can pronounce equally the same in all kinds of languages, and it signifies the green and the sustainable, so that initially we thought we could develop a whole range of products around it. Now we are focusing on the pencils, right? But anything that can sprout would make sense to be part of this company.
Maybe you can just about the product, the pencil, and maybe you can tell us. So, how is it made? What you're writing with? Because in Danish, when you translate it, it was called lead. Isn't it correct? When you were writing with lead in the old days, and that's not really not very sustainable, right?
In English, you call it lead, also, right?
Yeah.
The lead of the pencil, and it's an old story. It has never been lead. You wouldn't be able to write with lead because it's a firm thing, right? So actually, what we call lead is a mixture of graphite and and clay, which is 100% natural. So it's the Sprout pencil is 100% natural because of that, and most pencils are. Some pencils, however, use glue to attach the lead, which is often harmless. In the Sprout pencil is all natural and harmless glue.
And then when you put it in the soil, then what comes up?
It
what
depends.
kind of plants comes up?
The pencil I'm holding here is marigold, which is a beautiful flower. So we have several different flowers. We have herbs like basil, like oregano, and so on. And then we have vegetables like cherry tomato. So you can even grow a beautiful cherry tomato plant from your pencil.
And I got one which is rosemary, which is also a really sweet name also, by the way, when you think of it.
Rosemary is a beautiful name, yeah.
It is. It's a very beautiful name, very emotional.
Yes.
And that's I think that's also one of the things that we noticed when we heard about you the first time. Is that this is a product that really communicates through your heart to your mind, yes. Because there is something really important behind the product, which is about sustainability. And when talking about that, we are in the age of electronic communication,
yes.
And it's kind of ironic that you're coming on with this low-tech product, which is a pencil,
yes.
In this age of electronic communication. And I'm just wondering, how do you see this Sprout? What kind of role can it play in today's marketplace, where everything is electronic? Maybe you can.
First of all, it's true we live in an age of technology, right? People think that the pencil is a long gone thing. We're not using pencils anymore, right? I can tell you that last year more than 16 billion pencils were produced and sold worldwide. So it's still a product being used, right? I think what's happening in today's world is that everything is going so fast. We're using iPads, smartphones, we're using MacBooks. The thing is that we need to sit down sometimes and just do something that's not going so fast. And the pencil is a great tool for sitting down, putting your thoughts to a paper. I know a lot of people that are still using old school calendars because it makes them help remember things when you actually write it down with a pencil rather than when you just sit on a computer or on a smartphone. So it's very much a reverse thing to the whole technology age, that people want to be able to sit down and just do something in peace and quiet, which you can do with a pencil.
Right. It's interesting. As a designer, when I was studying as a young designer, I was entering to the School of Arts and Craft, and the interesting part is that the pencil was one of our main tools. The computer did not exist.
Exactly.
And what the pencil, from my point of view, does also is the symbol of it's the easiest tool everybody can understand, and you can use it to express yourself.
Exactly.
And I guess that this role that you as an individual plays when you are trying to do something about sustainability and a better living around us, it's not only about them and the others. It's very much about you as an individual.
Yes, you can make a difference as an individual, right?
Yeah. So you that brings me to the next question, which is, do you see the Sprout being able to change the social change and change of behavior? Is that a possibility in the future? Do you think that we will recognize that we are just about to forget the value of actually expressing ourselves through our hand? Or how do you think?
I hope so. I hope that the Sprout pencil can be part of that change, that not everything becomes artificial intelligence and computer automated, that the Sprout pencil can be part of people's life in a way where we sit down in periods during the day and write with our hand instead of just writing on a computer. Like I said before, lots of studies show that people, when they write with a pencil, write it down by your hand, you remember things much better than if you type it on a computer or a smartphone. So I certainly hope it can help make sure that not everything is about technology in the future. Right?
I like that thought, but that's easy to like when you're a graphic designer, because we used to work with our hands. But having said that, we also are most of the time on the computer.
Exactly.
And it is really a good feeling. I can recommend it.
Yes.
To have a pencil in your hand while you're having an interview. It makes me very comfortable.
Exactly.
And I can make all my circles around what it is that I want to talk with you about.
Exactly. I use my smartphone and computer like everyone else, but when I'm in meetings, I use my pencil for taking notes. Right? Yeah. And it really helps me remember better when I've written it down by hand, right?
But it is also, on the other hand, now you and I are nearly the same generation, but we are from the generation, I know for a fact, because I asked about your age before this interview, that we are before the computer.
Yes.
Before the computer age. And we were using the pencil as a normal tool in every school. And the interesting part is that the pencil is still a very important tool when you go to school today.
Yes.
But having said that, the computers are taking over and are very much taking all our time, our mobile phones is taking our time.
Definitely.
So that's one thing about this low-tech and high-tech issue. But then there is this whole issue about throwing away, this whole culture about throwing away. Can you elaborate a little bit about that? How do you see this pencil changing that behavior?
The thing is that 2007, 2008 came a financial crisis globally, right? Before that, everyone was buying stuff. We were just buying like crazy and then throwing it away once we got tired of the product or it was used up or whatever. It's like the financial crisis put some sense into people in a way that it's not about just using and consuming like crazy. People have become much more conscious about the product they buy, right? And what I see is that a lot of people are very conscious about buying products that are recycled, products that can be used for something else instead of just throwing them out. People are becoming more conscious of buying quality rather than quantity, and I think that's hopefully what the Sprout pencil is part of, that whole trending to get away from the use and throw away mentality that was so absorbing everyone before the financial crisis.
In a way, I hear you say that because I guess it is, but we don't think of it as a media. The pencil is actually a media. It's a way to communicate your opinion, and I guess that brings me to the next topic. Do you think that the Sprout as a company and the pencil as the tool can be a part of educating the next generation?
I certainly hope so, because even though many grown-ups don't use pencils as much as they did before, the kids still do. In the smaller early school classes, they all use pencils, right? And I think and I hope that the Sprout pencil can make them use it even longer. Also because it's not just a pencil, but it's something that they can actually plant after use, and they can help nurture and grow this plant, grow their own vegetables and cherry tomatoes, flowers, suddenly making it much more fun to use a pencil. It's not just a writing tool anymore. It's also something that you can you can plant your own herbs and take care of them afterwards, right?
Yeah, it's a very charming thought that a great idea which you make as a note, later on you can plant and the tool that you use to make the note, and it becomes life.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Just like the idea.
Exactly. And
there's something simple about you. There's a simplicity here. Have you noticed? Well, maybe you could elaborate a little bit about that, because you're in 16 countries. We heard earlier, which is quite amazing, thinking of the age the company has, and then you're sending about 450,000 a month pencils around the world.
Yes.
And we know you're in contact with all the major brands and so forth. So maybe you can talk a little bit about that. How do you see this affecting the big brands and their behavior? Because obviously they like IKEA like to use your pencil, and how do they use it? I mean, one thing is to have a funny idea.
Yes.
It's funny to know that it can grow and all that, but there's a really deep meaning behind it, and that seriosity. How do you make sure that is passed on?
What the big well, also medium-sized and small-sized companies, but what the brands are seeing in Sprout is fortunately is what it symbolizes. Again, the sustainability. It signifies and gives the signal of what they want to communicate also. So what they're using the Sprout pencil for is to communicate their own green agenda. Is to get more attention to their green messages, whether they are focused on green energy or clean water or whatever. We see companies, they're getting their logos or their messages engraved in the Sprout pencils and using them to hand out to their stakeholders, to their customers, partners and so on, to communicate their own green messages. And they're just seeing the Sprout pencil as a great tool for doing that. Because if you just give them a plastic ball pen saying Vestas or IKEA, people are getting plastic ball pens all the time. They're not very sustainable. So you don't get through the noise. With the Sprout pencil, you actually get through the noise, and people will ask, hey, what is this? And you'll get a we call it an icebreaker. It's an icebreaker for conversation rather than just something people take and throw away, right?
And you know what? Having it in my hand, it really feels good having it in the hand also. Yeah, which is a design thing. Yeah, because that's another thing. I mean, it's the wood is what is the cedar wood?
Cedar wood, yes.
Cedar wood.
Yes, exactly.
So it's
nice smell to it.
There's a good, nice smell to it.
Exactly.
And there's a naturalness when you hold it in your hand. It fits really well in your hand.
Exactly.
Funny enough to say all those things about such a simple tool as a pencil, because you could imagine that it's just a pencil, but it's not only just a pencil. No. But that brings me to the next question, which is about technology. Every brand that we know about, which is successful, have a technology innovation department, and here we are with a pencil with a great idea in a small tool.
Yes.
How do you innovate, and how much technology innovation is behind the company today? You have so much success, we could imagine that you have the time and the possibilities to invest in innovation. What do you do?
First of all, we are very low technology, a very low technology company. I mean, we are digitalized like everyone else, I guess.
So you do have a computer?
We do have computers, we do have websites and social media and stuff, right? But I mean, in its essence, this is a very low tech company. So when we innovate on the products and on the use of the products, right? And one product we've spent the last 2 years developing and we are launching now this summer is the Sprout makeup pencil.
The makeup pencil?
Makeup pencils is for women, for eyeliners, for brows, for lips. It's a billion piece market. If you look in any woman's handbag, you will find at least a couple of makeup pencils. I've seen handbags with 8 and 10 different makeup pencils. It's a huge market. So we were looking at our patent, which is for writing instruments that you can plant, and a natural extension was the makeup pencil.
So you got the patents for that as well? It's
included in our patent because a makeup pencil, in its essence, is a writing instrument. You write on your exactly. It's a wooden makeup pencil. So we developed with some of the biggest cosmetic brands in the world. And
can you mention any brand names?
Not yet, but since L'Oreal and Estée Lauder are sitting very much on the market with all the brands, it would be obvious that we have worked with them.
Yeah.
And this will launch in the autumn.
It's very interesting.
We have very big expectations because a Sprout pencil like this, in its essence, is a nice to have product. Let's be honest. But a makeup pencil that you can plant after use, that's a need to have product. Any woman I know, she needs to have makeup pencils. So it's a whole new ball game for us.
But that makes me think, you know, how do you select the right partner to collaborate with the right brand actually on the makeup pen?
That's part of why we.
Because it's all about sustainability, too,
yes,
right?
Yes,
so you have a vision.
Yes.
So it has to fit into your mission, right?
Exactly, and the cosmetics business is not. It's a business that seriously and sincerely wants to be sustainable, but is struggling with sustainability in general. So we have spent time with some of the biggest makeup pencil producers in the world to develop the right one. It's called Vegan Beauty. It's 96% biodegradable. It's not been tested on animals, and the what's inside the pencils is all natural and so on. So it's been very important for us to develop the right product, and with that, we feel we can help the cosmetic industry going from almost sustainable to much more sustainable, right?
That's a very interesting thought that now you're making a next step, and then you're making a huge change in an industry which is well known for other, and you can do it because you have the patent of the idea.
Exactly.
So if they want to be on your wonderful mission and share your vision, I guess they're welcome. Because it's all about making a difference, which is better for the world. And these companies and brands, they're all looking for the same thing because they know that they can make a change when they're icon brands. They can make
the change because they have such big reach, right? So together with them, we can make a difference.
Fantastic. So then, I mean, you already touched a little bit as an example with the new product here, your plans to grow as a company. But is there any other plans that shows how the company is growing into new areas that you can share with us?
What we are seeing with the Sprout pencil is that we can grow it in so many different directions. Today we are 85% selling to companies, corporate, using as a, let's call it promotional item, right? We are still rather small in retail. We are building now together with Amazon platforms in different parts of the world, right? But still retail is an area where we can grow a lot. But even if we look at the corporate business, we want to grow a lot in the, let's say, the hotel business. Today, every 4 or 5 star hotel must have a writing instrument in their rooms. Today is often pens, ball pens, plastic pens, or just normal pencils. Yeah. We want there to be a Sprout pencil in every single hotel room around the world. We already have customers like Marriott, like Hilton, like Intercontinental, lots of independent hotels. So just that sales channel is something that we can grow a lot. And like that, there are many different channels where we can grow the Sprout pencil. So basically the sky is the limit.
It's interesting to hear about all the potential and all the possibilities when you think back a few years it actually is from the Kickstarter. Yes. And then here we are sitting and you're talking about moving into all these new areas. And it makes me think about, how can you as a business stay independent?
Well, that's a good question. Of course, we continue to grow, and we've grown over the years. But initially, I took in an investor to make sure we could sustain the funding for, especially the patent. We had to buy some rights and so on. Today, I own the majority of the company together with one investor, and we plan to stay independent for years to come. Instead, we are focusing on building partnerships together with large brands and corporations that can help us grow, and that way stay independent, right? There's still a lot to build and a lot of things we haven't done yet with Sprout, so there are no plans at all for any sort of exit or selling or anything, right?
Yeah, that brings me to make me think at least that a very important part when we talk about sustainability, and specifically when you are dealing with such a beautiful and emotional touching product like your pencil, is that there is, because of its simplicity, is trustworthy.
Yes.
And because that you interact with all those brands that you already mentioned, it's all about sharing also.
Yes.
But then I understand that you only brought in one investor.
Yes.
So if we do that investor must have been a specific choice. So it's very much about friendship also.
It's not so much about friendship because it's all business in the end, right? But if you're talking about the investor today, for me, having an investor or a partner is very much about, first of all, chemistry, but also about what can that person bring to the table. Money is a very, very small part of the equation. It's all about someone who understands the business, who can bring something to the business, someone who has tried to build a business and knows all the challenges and knows how to build a brand.
I heard about you through our client, which is Lakrids by Bülow.
Yes.
And I heard it from Johan Bülow himself. Yes. And he is your investor in this project here.
Yes.
But we also know him as a fantastic, inspiring person. And I could imagine that there's something about that, your choice of personality that you early on talked about, that is so important here. It's not just about the money, but it's really about, if I understand you correct, about to create synergy and make new possibilities. And then Johan is licorice, so it's also about a root.
Yes.
I mean, the licorice is a root.
Yes.
So it all fits very well together. And is that one of the thoughts that you have in your mind as well, that how can I make sure that it's not only about the money, it's not only about the quality of the personality, but it's also about how well his brand values fits into our brand values?
Very much, and it's very much to do with the fact that Sprout, like I said before, is very strong in the B2B, in the corporate business, whereas Johan Bülow is very, very strong in the retail part of the business, but also very strong in, he has built a fantastic brand in the last 10 years, right? So the experience, the knowledge, and what he has done, what he brings to the table, to the boardroom, is priceless. It's something that is of a huge value to this company.
Yeah, and he is an icon brand in Denmark, for those who doesn't know today, but was a challenger.
Yes.
So he carries the insight from both worlds.
Exactly.
And to me it looks like that Sprout is becoming an icon brand within the next years. But that is the time to tell. We have been together for the last 20 minutes. I've got to know you better, and everybody who's watching got to know you much better for your company, but also you as an individual. I'm very interested in hearing about your ambitions, because this is a tool which is the idea is so easy to understand, and everything around Sprout is so trustworthy. So that makes me think about you as the person behind. What's your ambitions for the future? Maybe you can enlighten us a little bit about that.
Yes. I founded this company 4.5 years ago, and I was the CEO for the first 4 years of that. 6 months ago, I stepped down and was replaced by a new CEO that we hired internally. So today my focus is very much on helping the team, the new CEO, build an even bigger company, a company that can embrace also other products and other areas, all under the Sprout brand, because I think it's a great brand that we are in the process of building. For me personally, what I would like to do and to spend more time on is to try and help inspire people in their sustainability choices. Because what is happening today is a lot of sustainability is about making people feel guilty. The media, sustainability experts and so on are making people feel guilty, because saying if you have to do this and this and this, if you don't do this and that, then the earth will go under in 10 years, stuff like that. To me, sustainability is about breaking it down into smaller parts where it's not so overwhelming to people. Because what happens if we think something is too overwhelming, we stop doing it, because we can't see the end and the goal, right? So to me, it's very important that people understand that it's the everyday choices. We can start somewhere. We need to start somewhere by making just small choices. And as long as we build on that, we will eventually be able to make this a better and more sustainable world, right?
One step for mankind.
Exactly.
So Michael, this brings us to the end of the interview. It's been a pleasure talking with you.
Same.
Thank you so much indeed for taking your time. It is very difficult not to see in front of you a bright light of success with your product, with your idea, and with your vision. I would love to be a part of that movement as I see it, the Sprout movement. It's so positive. So thank you very much indeed. And
thank you very much. My pleasure, Jesper. My pleasure.